Dear Clash Guides, I confess my emotions have been a mess. Cause you changed everything we ever knew. From witches to poison and the Queen Walk too. Whoa, I've been wrong, I was wrong. Been at town all night, way too long. Getting hogs and Valkyries. I'll push that button and believe in you again.
Welcome to episode 111 of Pineapples and Thorns. I'm Kat, and I'm joined on this lovely summer day by the one and only Call Me T. How are you, T?
Hello. I am good. How about you?
I'm doing very well.
I'm excited.
Yeah, are you excited about this episode? I am so excited.
Listen, I'm always excited to talk Clash. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's hard to get me to stop talking about things that I'm interested in. So anytime someone's like, hey, come talk about Clash, my answer is pretty much always yes. So I'm always excited to be here. Weather's been a little toasty over on the East Coast of the United States. So I'm glad to be in an air-conditioned room, chatting about a game I like, just having some fun.
Awesome. As am I. All right, we're going to just jump into a little bit of CFF news with Darth Yoda. Take it away, Yoda.
Hey, thanks, Kat. We have a number of things to cover this episode as part of the CFF news. So to start us off, we recently, we as an SOG, recently completed our monthly scrimmage with the Rated. And just like the last prior month, neither team performed exceptionally well. Both were definitely a little bit rusty. Heck, we're looking forward to playing them again next month. All right. Up next, we recently completed the SOG monthly 1v1. This is a tournament that we do every month as a part of the SOG family, but we also have a whole lot of other people outside of SOG that participate. And for the second month in a row, the winner of that tournament goes to the great GFFT. And that guy is consistently one of the best players I know. And hey, big shout out to him. 2 months in a row is super hard to do. All right. SOG also recently completed our most recent EOS push. And this is something that we do every single month. I know I've talked about it a few times on the pod, but it's not only SOG, it's SOG and our many friends. Everybody floods to the clan, and we push the clan up as high as we possibly can in the Legends rankings. And I can tell you it was a pretty impressive month. We ended up finishing 5th in the United States and 92nd in the world. So just super, super awesome job to everybody involved. Do want to shout out some clans that are always consistently there with SOG, and that's the Rated, that is RedThorn and the Good Guys, and a few people from some other clans as well, but those are the primary 3 that consistently come over and participate with us. So super thanks, really, really appreciate it. What an amazing month it was. All right, and then finally, kind of the big news on this episode is that the SOG and the CFF is hosting a 2v2 tournament that is called Double Trouble, and we're going to be utilizing a new 2v2 function that just came out as part of the last update. That tournament is going to kick off on July 14th. Sign-ups are currently live in the CFF server, but they're going to be closing soon. We're going to be closing them down on the 10th. So the cool thing is that you can either sign up as a team, so that's going to be 2 people, or you can sign up individually, and we'll actually randomly pair you with somebody. But what I can tell you is, man, the amount of participation for this tournament greatly exceeded any of our expectations. I think we're already around 50 teams and growing by the day. So this thing is going to be huge. Don't miss out on your opportunity to take part in it. The top 2 teams each will be given a gold pass. So there's even an award associated with it. So don't wait. Don't miss out on this exciting event. Make sure you guys sign up. Kat and T, back to you.
Thanks for that, as always, Mr. Darth Yoda. All right. Let's talk a little bit of Clash, as we always do. We had, we just finished the June theme, which was the dark
mafioso-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of 30s prime noir vibe, which was really cool. Like there's all kinds of little cars running around. And now we have the July theme is the cyber theme. And the warden skin was pretty cool. I thought he's kind of like a robot spider thing.
Yeah, this is way more my vibe, interestingly, than the Godfather themed. Though So I didn't buy the scenery, but I've
Mhm.
seen the scenery on other people's bases. Is it me, or does like the cyber scenery look very similar to the Mafia-esque one? Like,
You know what? I was not really gonna say it, but yeah, like it's like they took that and they just colorized everything and kind of threw in some sci-fi stuff.
right? Like I was looking
It's
at it today and I was like, what? Am I losing my mind? Like I felt like I was looking exactly like you said. Like it looked like, when someone on the internet takes like an old photo and adds color to it. It's like
uh
that, and like maybe they put like a little Photoshop of like a cool visor on somebody.
let's just slap some sci-fi glasses on them and put, visors like you say
Yeah.
and
I mean, I do like the little bit in like the bottom right hand corner where it looks like kind of Fifth Element-y, where it looks
mhm.
like there's like multiple levels of um like the building kind of thing. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I love the robot stuff. The robot warden looks pretty sweet. I haven't used him in game yet because I'm still stuck on my magic magic skins, but I do have
Yeah, they'll
them.
never beat those. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. And when the rest of the skins come out, I'm gonna take a look, and Supercell might be able to get some money out of me from this month. But I don't think I'm gonna get the scenery because of the similarity with the previous months. And I
Mhm.
got the boat, and the boat is pretty sweet. So I'm not gonna switch off the boat yet.
Yeah, I bought the boat one because I thought it was pretty amazing.
Hmm.
I didn't buy the June one. I really liked it,
Hmm.
but I couldn't really I didn't really want to buy another scenery. I've got so many of them.
Yeah.
And this one does nothing for me, to be honest.
Not a fan of cyberpunk or sci-fi.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I like sci-fi,
Hmm.
but again, it's just I've got so many skins and sceneries and
Hmm.
things. It's if I was going to buy it, I'd buy it on one of my lower accounts that doesn't have anything.
Right.
But
Yeah, they got to stand out a little bit once you have your own little roster of things that you like. Like I have a winter skin or winter scenery that I really like. I have a Halloween
mhm.
scenery that I like, and now the boat has become kind of my summer scenery that I'm liking. So they might maybe be able to squeeze like one more scenery out of me before, like, I've bought a few others. It's just like those are the ones that have ended up being the ones in my rotation. So maybe I need like a spring one. I don't know. Right now I'm like pretty solid with 3. So we'll see. Maybe they'll be able to convince me with if the rest of the skins look really really cool, maybe I'll end up buying the scenery as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did have the Minion Prince skin
Hmm.
out
He
right
looks
now.
pretty
So,
neat, but I got the general one where he has the little whirlwind around him, the little
oh,
tornado,
great.
and
Yeah.
like it's not perfect. You can't always spot him if he is in a like full mess of stuff, but he is
Hmm.
more spottable than any other skin that I've seen. So I'm going to be very hesitant to switch off of that unless they come out with something that's even more visible, because he's
Yeah.
so easy to lose in a dragon attack that you need like any sort of assistance that you can to just try and keep track of where he's going.
Yeah. And that's sort of something we've always kind of circled back on
Hmm.
repeatedly when we talk about skins is that we need to be able to see the heroes because especially at Town Hall 17, there's just so much going on
Hmm.
in the base itself. The theme is very dark. So when you have a hero in a dark color scheme
Hmm.
wandering around the base, it's really hard to see.
Yeah, I also wonder if there isn't something that Supercell could do with like the layering, like what effect is on top versus on bottom of like the layering
Hmm.
numbers. You know what I mean? Like the heroes should always be kind of like the top thing on your layer, so that like no matter what you play around them, they should be visible. But like obviously air troops are above ground troops, so you can always hide your ground heroes by accident by flying something over them. But then it's like
Hmm.
the minion prince is also flying, so I feel like he should be the highest thing. Like the warden at least has his aura, so you can always kind of spot where your warden is based on where the aura is. But the minion prince doesn't really have that, so I don't know. I would really appreciate it if we didn't have to use essentially a like backdoor method of, hey, this skin has an effect that's very easily spottable. They should just have something that makes it easier to keep track of the minion prints. He's our first like flying and only flying hero. So I don't know.
So even if each hero had a little bit of a glow or something on them so that you could spot them, I don't know. There's got to be something that they could do.
Yeah,
just make them pop.
I feel like the only other champion I ever, sorry, I kind of answered the question. The only other hero that I have issues with, like losing track of ever, is the Royal Champion with the Spirit Fox, because when she goes invisible, it's a little hard to spot her. But even now with the Electro Boots, it's super easy. Like I just something on the minion prints. I think it's the only thing that really makes me annoyed, where I don't feel like it's necessarily my fault when I fail an attack because I lost track of the minion prints. Like it's definitely is my fault. I should be paying closer attention to him. But it's like there's definitely been attacks that I've done where I'm losing several seconds trying to find where the minion prince is. Not even necessarily like, oh, it's the whole map and I'm trying to search for him in the whole map. It's like, no, I know he's in this pack of dragons, but I literally can't see him to see what orientation he has, so I can't aim my dark orb. And that is very frustrating.
Yeah, he's usually going to be sort of floating there, getting hit by that single inferno and frying. So
yeah, at least then you could see him.
He lights right up.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a little tether on him, so.
All right, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the new stuff we got last month, because we talked about it when it was first coming in, but we hadn't had a chance really to play around with any of it yet. So I wanted to get your thoughts on some of it. We got a new spell, the Ice Block. Have you used it yet? And what do you think?
I used it a couple times with power potions because I've been, I don't want to say lazy, but basically lazy about upgrading the Ice Block spell. I finished everything else in my lab, and then it's like I could finish it, or I could wait until I unlock the Book of Spells in my Gold Pass and instantly finish it, and then hammer the last level. And even though technically, if I just did it naturally, I have nothing else to work on in the lab. So if I just started the upgrade and put the lab assistant on it, it would finish probably before I unlock the Book of Spells. But it's like there's a part of me where I'm like, I can't allow myself to convert the Book of Spells to gems while I still could potentially use it. So there's like this little hyper optimizer that's just going, no, we're gonna get the Book of Spells, then we could do it instantly. So I've used it with power potions, and the way I used it, I actually got the idea from Aki, our guest last week or 2 weeks ago, where he uses it with the action figure. So you pop the action figure and you have your giant tanking, and when the giant gets targeted by like a bunch of defenses, you drop the ice block on him. And I actually really liked that. I thought that was a pretty clever use. It allows your giant to not only survive longer and, obviously tank more because he's absorbing all the other damage. It also preserves his, I don't want to call it the ability, but it's like the passive trigger where the giant at 50% health gets the enrage effect.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really nice as well, because that's a super handy thing to have later in the attack. Whereas like early in the attack, when he's probably going to die unless you get him in the Eternal Tome, it's like he's probably only going to just smash like a wall or two. But if you can save it towards the end of the attack, he ends up usually hitting some defenses and getting you a little extra value. So that I thought was a pretty good use. And I've been trying to mess around with it with the RC charge in some friendly challenges, but I have not figured out how to make that work well. So for now, only the Aki idea is how I've used it. And I think it's good enough that you can bring it in kind of any attack that you're planning on using the action figure equipment. you don't need to bring like a million. You just bring one, and it extends
Mhm.
the tanking that the giant is capable of doing. And it really only adds like a tiny bit of, I don't even want to say difficulty, but like it's like a small extra thing that you have to track. So there is a little bit of friction that is being added to your attack, but I think it's worthwhile to do, especially because it usually doubles up on making your archer queen also get more value. So like those two things together, I think is a pretty solid use case. Now, is it like, oh, you can use this on every attack in every situation? No. But it does mean you can usually put the archer queen, I'm doing dragon attack, so it's action figure plus giant arrow. And one of the things that you usually don't want to do is shoot your giant arrow from a position where a ricochet cannon can hit your archer queen.
Mhm.
But if you ice block it, it usually means that the damage is lowered. Obviously sometimes you mistime things and the ricochet cannon will target your archer queen first and then it won't do anything. But I don't know. I found these little niche use cases that I think is slightly better than bringing a third freeze for me. So far, I think it could definitely be used better than what I'm doing, but I do think there is some use to it. What about you? Have you used it at all?
I have just been busy upgrading it. I
Mhm.
have not used it even once. So I, I I'm a slow adopter of things, okay?
Listen,
So
honestly, I feel like that's the smarter play because this it's not like freeze or rage or poison where it's like the use is really obvious. Or I mean, like, even with rage, like, the replacement of your rage is somewhat counterintuitive because you don't want to place it where your troops are, you want to place it where your troops are going. So there's
Mhm.
always like these use optimizations that exist with almost every spell, and it's like where 90% of the skill expression in Clash of Clans is. But I think waiting for people to test it is totally valid because it takes a lot of time and a lot of experimentation to figure out these use cases. So I don't think anybody should be rushing into using the ice block, but I know Aki has a couple attacks where he was using it. Itsu has a couple attacks where he's using it. And I think the important thing that you should do is watch when these players are not necessarily recording specific attacks or attack armies.
Mhm.
Like I really like watching Itsu's like he does some videos, I can't remember what the series is called, but it's like when he shows actual Legends attacks for his
Yes.
main account. Like watch what he's using there. Not necessarily when he's like, hey, look at this new OP army, right? Like watch what he's actually using when he's like, oh, let's like go through my CWL that I had, or let's like review my Legend League attacks. Like those are the things where you can
Yeah, his
start to
actual
say,
attacks.
yeah. And like when ice block starts showing up in those examples, that's when you're like, oh, okay. Like that's like the real use case.
Yeah, and I know there are a few guys in RedThorn and I think the Rated that are using it, but I haven't seen it really heavily adopted yet. So I'll just play a waiting game and wait for someone to say this is fantastic, and then
I
I'll give
think
it a try.
someone's gonna figure out some sort of tech here because it does feel like it could be a very powerful spell. It just
Mhm.
you got to find the right spot for it. And I think somebody's going to come up with some sort of nonsense that once it's used, everybody's going to be like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like the Yeti blimp, right? When Yetis first came
Yeah.
out, nobody had any idea that we should be putting them in blimps. And then over time, like the Yeti blimp became a staple strategy at like every town hall. So I think we'll see the ice block get used somewhere.
Oh yeah. All right. We got some new levels on some troops as well. Got at Town Hall 17. We got balloons, rocket balloons, and druids. And Frosty also got 5 more levels.
Hmm.
Have you noticed druids being used anymore or Frosty?
I haven't seen anything with druids, and I recently got my Frosty to level 3 or level 3. I recently got my Frosty to level 15, and he gets an extra frostbite. So now he has 3 frostbites instead of 2. And I don't think it's like a massive difference, but Frosty is already very strong. So him getting any sort of boost, I think was, I don't want to say it's a mistake. I don't think it was necessarily needed. Like Frosty was already one of the meta troops for use. So I don't know. I mean, I'm pleased with it. I use him all the time, and he's doing better
Yeah.
now. So okay, thanks. You made my attacks better, but
Thanks, Super Cell.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think it was needed. I haven't really seen anybody using the druids and balloons. I mean, if you were doing the fireball hero push with rocket loons before, I don't think you'll have noticed much, if any, difference with the balloon level, except maybe, maybe you would have time failed this one attack and instead you tripled, or you just have like a little more, room for error. But it's, I think if you were doing it before, you were already skilled enough that this level is meaningless for you. And if you weren't doing it before, I don't think this level makes it easier or better enough that you can just pick it up without practice, right? Like it's one of those strategies that's like you're gonna need to expend effort and time to learn. And once you do, the level of the balloons are basically irrelevant. So I don't know. I mean, you kind of need to get these levels so that the troops will not suddenly be worthless. But I don't think this is one of those meaningful updates.
Yeah, I think the most meaningful part was, like you said, Frosty. And I keep flipping between Frosty and Yak because I can't decide which one I like better.
Man,
It's nice to have that option.
You're definitely in a class of your own. I don't know that anybody else is using Yak. Like, I mean,
Yak
maybe
attack.
I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. The Yak is good. It's like it's a function of there's so many other, in my opinion, better choices. But the Yak like default is still really strong. He's got a ton of health. He breaks down walls. And like I guess part of the thing that skews it for me is I have literally not used my Barbarian King since Minion Prince came out. So I forget sometimes how annoying it is to not be able to get through walls, because really it's just my Archer Queen that's dealing with walls at this point.
I actually put the Yak on the Queen.
Oh yeah.
And it gives her a little bit of tanking and
That's fair.
Helps her to knock down some walls.
Do you see when the Yak was initially out and we hadn't really figured out the meta of what troop to go with which hero, I initially used the Yak with the Archer Queen, but what I found was that my Archer Queen would like go around a compartment and the Yak would be smacking down a wall, and then by the time it got through the wall, the Archer Queen was already on like a completely different section of the base, and I never found that they lined up. Like, do you see that that's still the case, or because you're doing ground, you find that they pair up more?
It seems that they do fairly well together for me. Like I said, mostly what I'm hoping to get out of it is some tanking for her. Because if there's a cannon or something that's going to start targeting her, that'll shoot the Yak first, and it gives her a chance to focus on something other than a wall or
that makes sense.
Or storage.
What equipment do you use on the Archer Queen when you have that set up?
I have the magic mirror and the puppet thing with the giant puppet.
Okay, that makes sense. I could see that. Yeah, like
there's no logic to my choices. Okay, it's just what I like.
Listen, I mean, you're basically saying the magic mirror is really good in ground attacks, the action figure is really good in ground attacks, and you're adding a little more tanking for all of those things. Like, you're getting more value out of all of it.
Do not take my advice because you have not seen my triple raid.
That's fair.
Some days it's good. Some days I just don't know why I'm playing.
I mean, that happens to all of us, I think.
Exactly. All right. We had a few other balance changes. There was that lovely eternal tome balance change. Have you noticed an impact with that? Because you do air with the blimp and all that. So
yeah, definitely. There's a little bit of a difference of how you have to deploy things. I have certainly messed up my blimp more since the change. I think it's entirely user error. I don't think that the blimp is dead, because when I do things correctly, it works just as well and just as strong as the previous. And then I don't know, like I don't know necessarily that I like the change because of like how the difference works, but yeah, for sure. I've definitely noticed a difference. Blimp is harder to do, which I guess for the overall health of the game, I would say is probably a good thing. You know, blimps were probably too easy. I do think it's kind of a weird time to make that change, but you know, maybe Supercell was just getting sick of everybody just Yeti blimping every single base. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm considering, because of that change, I'm considering actually finally learning the Royal Champion Charge Dragon attack as opposed
Oh
to
my goodness.
the Yeti blimp one. I know it's a tumultuous time. We'll see. But yeah, for sure, it's definitely, you can feel it, you notice it, but if you are determined to do the blimps, you can still do them just fine. So
Yeah.
there's just a little bit more of a window for error, right? Whereas before it was like, yeah, you could technically mess up a blimp before, but it was usually like you deploy your blimp at 6 and the town hall's at 12 and you miss it with a with the tome entirely, and like, okay, now you've messed up your blimp. Like now it's like the timing really does matter, and you need to get the pathing right so that, you know, ideally what I'm seeing with my attacks now is, one, you have to delay the blimp a little bit, two, you have to delay the tome a little bit, and three, you really want the dragons and the warden to fly into that first layer of the base and not be at the outer trash level. And then you can usually land the blimp where you want it to go and get everything lined up. Whereas before you could kind of do whatever you wanted.
So it's not just blindly YOLOing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. All right. And we talked a little bit about the changes to the Friendly Wars numbers, 2v2 and 3v3. And I know Yoda talked about this in his news, but the CFF and specifically SOG has organized a 2v2 tournament, which has had, I think, record signups.
Yeah, there's
I'm not sure
tons.
how we're going to run this.
I mean, it's we got to take a lesson from the fighting game community and just have a couple organizers, and each one takes essentially like their own tournament bracket. And it's usually how you do like a big like 64 team tournament, which we're coming up on 64 teams. I think last I heard we were at like 50 something. And so you basically have like 4 tournament organizers, and they each run a bracket, and then the 4 winners of each bracket then face off in the semis and then the finals.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like, it's very fun. I think it's gonna be a blast. I'm sad that it's happening in summer, because for me, it's like my busy season at work, and I get home and I'm just like dead. I'm dead to the world. Like you know, my fiance is a teacher, so it's her recovery time. So it's like she doesn't, you know, want to have to be doing serious amounts of work. So it's like we're lucky if we are able to cook food and put ourselves to bed, and like that's pretty much what we're accomplishing when I get home from work. So I don't want. I mean, I understand it's a fun event, but I hate being the weak link. Like I'm fine with not being the best player on a team, but I hate feeling like, oh, I'm the reason we're losing these things. You know, like I want to be able to put my best foot forward. So I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to do a fall 2v2 when my work is way calmer, and then I'll have to participate, and we'll have to do something again. But
I did sign up. Choi, if you're listening, I'm sorry in advance. I'll do my best, but
yeah, I don't know. I think more options for Friendly Wars. Like what could that really cost developmentally for Supercell to implement? And it's just going to drive more engagement and have people have more fun with the game. So, you know, kudos to Supercell on adding it. I think it's gonna be a blast. 2v2 is gonna be really silly, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, win or lose.
Definitely.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the cookbook.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people were shocked when they saw a third tab there, and what is all this stuff?
Yeah, I honestly don't even understand what it is.
Well, apparently it's some starter armies and featured armies that you can try out, and if you like them, save to your own recipes. I have not even tried any of them, to be honest. I kind of glanced at them and promptly closed the tab. But I'm not sure where they come up with these things.
Yeah, I definitely misunderstood what it was when they first released it, and I still don't understand what it is, other than like, I think it's supposed to be a place where they're going to be able to highlight content creator armies, but like the content creators are all making variations of like the same stuff, because there's really only a few. I mean, okay, there's technically variations of the meta army comps, but it's basically like you're using root riders or dragons as your main component, and then what you're using for cleanup and your hero lineup and your hero equipment, like those things can vary. But I don't know. I think right now Supercell needs to concern themselves with the lack in diversity of attacks. Like I do think this is one of the few times since I've started playing, at least, that there is both a viable and strong air comp and a viable and strong ground comp. So that's nice, but I would like to see, like they kind of murdered Queen Charge, so they need to figure out some way to get miners involved in the meta. Hogs and hog riders could come back into the meta in some way. Like there's so many troops that we're not using that I would really like to see come back. I don't even think we're really even seeing pros use Lalo very much, which is again a first for since I started playing. Like we used to see, like in every one of the esports tournaments, you'd see at least a couple people Laloing, and like that's basically dead. So I don't know. I think I would like to see more of those troops become viable in order for there to be any interest in me getting a content creator's army comp to show up in that extra tab. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What am I going to see? I'm going to see RC charge dragons. I'm going to see Yeti blimp dragons. I'm going to see RC charge root riders, or I don't even know if there's another variant of root riders. I think there's a variant of root riders that doesn't use the RC charge, but I don't know what it is. So it's like, well, those are the 4 comps. Like what are we really going to learn here? But
I only know one person who does Queen Charge logs, I think it is, or Queen Charge miners, one of the two. And that's BG from Phoenix Reloaded. And that he has done that from back when he was playing with Buy Forever in the old CWL from Town Hall 12 on. That's his jam, Queen Charge. And that's what he does. And he does pretty well with it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it is
for the rest of us, it's like not a chance.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that started happening around Town Hall 15 is they just added so many points of failure for the Queen Charge. For example, like the Monolith, if you don't have a plan to take out the Monolith and your Queen goes anywhere near it, the amount of spells that you need to spend to keep her alive through it it's like your whole allotment. So like that's not really viable. So then it's like, oh, well, now if I have to worry about super minions in the CC, and I have to worry about Monolith, and I have to worry about scatter shots, and I have to worry about ricochet cannons, and it's like there's so many things that will murder your queens so fast. So obviously it's possible. People do it, but your window of error, right? Your margin of error is so tiny that I just don't think it's worth it. And maybe they could give the Archer Queen some health. Maybe that would help. I don't know if you could do that and not break other parts of the game, but it just feels like her relative health pool versus the Ricochet Cannon, Monolith, Expo, DPS is just like too high. Or maybe what you'd have to do is, I know last patch we got a little higher hero healing from the healers.
Mhm.
So maybe that's an avenue that they could try to play with, but then you run the risk of making the Warden fireball attack too strong. So I
Oh,
don't
that's
know.
just it. Because they might say, well, yeah, we'll buff the healers so that people can queen charge, but then people are going to take those healers and put them on something else, and
Yeah.
then really break whatever attack they're doing. So
Yeah. I
it's
mean, it's sad to see the queen charge not really be a thing anymore, but I definitely think that there's avenues to add some other army comps that are decent for Town Hall 17, and I'd love to see it. So if that happens, then maybe, content creators have a little more room to experiment, to come up with wacky army comps that aren't necessarily the strongest, but are viable and usable. And then it's like, oh, that's interesting to learn. Like right now, I have no interest in seeing somebody else's 1000th variant of the RC charge dragon attack. It's just seems silly.
yeah. It I think variety definitely keeps the game interesting. So hopefully they can
Yeah.
address it in the fall.
Maybe it's useful for lower town hall players, but I've heard that the starter army comps for lower town halls are pretty bad. So that's maybe Supercell could do another pass and like involve actual players of the game that know something about those town hall levels to like make real actual army
Oh,
comps that maybe that might work. But
I think you're asking a lot there.
yeah, how dare I ask them to be familiar with the levels of their
What the
own game.
players want. Yeah. All right. The crafted defenses.
Mhm,
These were quite an interesting addition. There's apparently huge backlash
mhm.
from the player base, and Supercell announced that they're going to extend the crafting period to after Worlds in early November, which they were only supposed to be around for 3 months, and now they've extended them.
I
They
mean,
promised to go more in depth on the whys, etc., on the next Builder Hut episode. Not sure if and when that's coming out.
did they extend them? Like, I
Kind
know,
of.
yeah, right? Like, but okay, so they came out like mid-June.
Yep.
So the original timeline for them to go away was mid-September, and they
Yep.
extended it to early
They,
November. Like,
yeah. It's not really like a huge extension. I think they didn't want to mess up Worlds.
yeah,
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't like. I think I didn't do the math yet because I these things have me a little mad. But I think it's technically just enough time for a free to play player to max the third one before they all go away. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I think you and I were both hoping that they were going to put out their chat before we recorded this episode so that we could discuss what they're saying, because right now I'm really on the fence about this feature. I appreciate that they heard the feedback. They extended the season. So good. Good on them. As much as I'm kind of saying like this extension is probably not enough. Like realistically, if this is what they should if this is what they really want to do, they should make it 6 months. They should do on a town hall release, we get a reset on the 3 temporary defenses, and then halfway through the town hall release, we get another reset, so that there's essentially 2 seasons of temporary defenses per max town hall.
Mhm.
I still think I would have problems with that because of the way that Supercell parcels out the content releases, such that, obviously day 1 of Town Hall 18, we're not getting every single level that is going to come out for the entirety of Town Hall 18, right? That's how they've always done all of the new Town Hall releases.
Right.
So to have a temporary defense compete with all of those other upgrades that need to be done, I think is kind of bad. It's the same argument that I had about having
Yeah.
the supercharge levels be available immediately as opposed to at the end. So I don't know. I really want to see what Supercell comes up with here. I think people have been bandying around the idea that we're going to get like a decoration for maxing the crafted defenses, and if that's the case, I'm just I will refuse to max my crafted defense just out of principle. I don't know. It's a weird situation. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
What have you upgraded yours at all yet, or?
Well, I've been upgrading them because you kind of have to, right? Like if you're not going to upgrade these things and put them on your base, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Not that they're that strong, but it's still another defense. I absolutely hate this idea. Temporary defenses, I think it's a really stupid thing to give us. I think they could have come up with something a little bit better. I'm not sure what, but I think this whole temporary thing, I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah,
and on principle, I don't even want to upgrade them because I'm sinking loot into them. It's just like throwing money away, right?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like this is between the superchargers and this, it feels like there's just no reason to have it be completely temporary. I just, it's frustrating because I really do like the base idea of having this one building that could be actually distinct and different defenses as opposed to, like the geared up defenses where it was like, yeah, okay, technically they're different defenses, but why would you ever want to use a regular cannon instead of the geared up cannon? Why would you ever want to use the regular archer tower instead of the geared up archer tower? So I don't know. I'm concerned with the way that this is playing out. I think it's good that Supercell has backed off at least the short period of time that they existed. And I don't know. I had people reach out to me in my DMs after our last episode where I was railing on this, and they were like, don't you think this is a good way for new players to catch up? And it's like, kind of, sort of, but at the same time, if you make your max players on a treadmill where nothing is being actually upgraded, you're kind of removing the incentive for continuing to play the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole satisfaction of playing a game like this, where there's so much grinding and so much time involved in upgrading, is the satisfaction of finally maxing completely. And without spending money, I don't think it's really plausible that anybody can max Town Hall 17 at this point, right? Like I feel like if you're not buying Gold Pass as a max player, you will not max the temporary defense. I just, maybe if you were already maxed in Town Hall 16 and you came to Town Hall 17 and you're not buying Gold Pass, maybe you can kind of stay on that upgrade curve where you will eventually max before Town Hall 18. I just don't think it's something that we needed at the max level where I don't know. I think there's this idea of the temporary builder time that's being put in allows new players to catch up. But I think that's fundamentally missing the point of being a max player, right? Of being at the top end, is that you're getting value for it. Like the superchargers, I think were an avenue where, okay, you're artificially extending the amount of upgrade time at the max level such that new players are getting closer to the max, right? But you could have already done that. That already was a thing. If you were strategically rushing, you could have already caught up. That was already a thing. That mathematically you can catch up to the pace of release because of magic items. So I don't know. I don't think it's a thing that we needed. I don't like the idea in a game about progression that there being temporary progression. So I don't know. We'll see what Supercell comes up, but it's like you said, it's a bad taste in the mouth. It's a direction that I don't really want to see the game going in. I don't know. I would have felt better about it if it was just a loot dump where you didn't need to actually put builders on it, right? Or like one builder could be upgrading all of it together or something. Like, I had the idea that there was a health module that you upgraded, and then the health module would apply to all of the defenses. Something like that. Like even if each defense has one of its own unique components that needs to be upgraded, and then there's a DPS and a health component that's universal. This way, instead of having 9 things to upgrade, you would only have 5 things to upgrade. Like even something along those lines to just make make it feel like it's not so predatory, right? Like the defense is so bad until you've spent so much time on them that I don't know. It feels silly to me.
Yeah, I think, it's an interesting idea. It probably is something that they should just admit that they made a mistake and get rid of it when this thing expires. Don't bring it back.
I don't I don't think they're gonna do that, sadly, but
Well, they keep telling us that they're listening, so
yeah.
hopefully they are listening. One thing I wanted to say is like, okay, my cat account is 100% maxed now, except I've done all my supercharges and I'm just working on this, so it's fine. Like on that account, I was max 16 when 17 dropped, so I'm in that space where yes, I'll have it done by the time they end and they give us something else, whatever. But my kitty cat account is at a point where I don't think I'm going to finish all the supercharges and all the levels on this. I still have a bunch of walls to do on her. So my choice is walls are permanent, whether they're useful or not. And this other stuff is going to go away when 18 drops. So I'm going to just focus on doing walls. I don't care about the supercharges. I don't care about these temporary defenses.
Yeah. I also think like maybe you should be able to put 3 total builders on the defense, but you could upgrade all 3 components of a single defense. Because I think one of the problems is it's what, 6 weeks to max a single module, and for most of that, it's not like other defenses in the game where it becomes useful well before the tower is maxed, right? Like if you have a monolith that's 1 level off the town hall maximum, it's still a good defense. Your scatter shots at like 1 level off the max are still good defenses. If you haven't leveled up the health modules of your crafted defense, it's one-shottable by basically a sneeze. Like it's...
Yeah, they're pretty squishy, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I just want to say one thing, people out there, if you're listening, make sure you activate the defense on your war base, because I can't tell you how many times I've hit attack and I've seen people, they've got this nice little square box on their base and there's no defense activated. And I'm just like, okay.
Yep. And then if you're gonna take advantage of the 2v2 or the 3v3, make sure you do it on your friendly base, because you also need to do it on your friendly base. And if you go to Legends, you also need to do it on your Legends base.
Exactly.
It's very silly.
Okay, moving along. They also mentioned something about a permanent reward. We know nothing about that. They say stay tuned. There's zero information on what that might be.
Yeah, if it's a decoration, like I said, I'm gonna riot. If they have a better idea,
it's going to be a decoration.
I know it's going to be very sad, but I don't know, hopefully they have some sort of idea. I think something to just reduce the amount of grind for the next season would be nice. I think whatever it is.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to touch briefly on CWL because we're in the middle of it all as we record. Why do you think they have not addressed matchmaking for the lower leagues? Because we all run multiple clans for CWL. You have your all Town Hall 17 clans that easy peasy, you're in champs or wherever and matching is fine. But for anybody who's like, upgrading lower level accounts, whether they're starting down in Town Hall 8 or whatever, and all the way up to 11 or 12, it's really nasty out there. Let me tell you. Because, so we had a clan that we spun literally Town Hall 5s to mid-level 13s in the first CWL. And we matched in Silver 1. And literally every war, it's like all 14s to 17s in Silver. I don't get it. I literally don't understand their algorithm.
Well,
how these higher town halls are down in Silver. I think they really need to look at this. It's frustrating for people with lower town halls.
So this is something that I have had the opposite opinion on for a very, very long time. My opinion is if you're a lower town hall, You should just do your best to get your 8 stars and bounce. CWL is not for you competitively, period.
No.
And I think that's fine. Honestly, I think it's okay for the game. And I think one of the things that always makes me laugh when people are like, oh, Supercell doesn't want you to rush. They clearly do. CWL CWL is one, is a very apparent reason. And one of the reasons why I always laugh when people on Reddit are like, oh, you can't have a clan full of rushers because, whatever dumb reason that they come up with. And I'm like, I've done it for literally 6 years. And the reason is, if you watch month to month, what happens when you have a maxer in your clan versus what you when you have a strategic rusher in your clan, that rusher is month to month going to consistently rise in town hall levels, right? Very rapidly, real quick. And they're going to get to a spot where they're usable in a master tier CWL way faster, like years faster than a maxer. And that would basically be my advice for people that have those lower town halls. You shouldn't be in them for long enough for it to matter. If you're still in Town Hall 8 or Town Hall 9 for more than one CWL, you're doing it wrong. You shouldn't be down there that long. Like Supercell is telling you, with all of these time reductions, with all these discount events, with all of this stuff, they're saying, go faster. Be at the higher town halls. The lower town halls are irrelevant. They're not doing balance changes. The equipment is busted down there. Like, it's crazy to me that anybody is worried about CWL for people that are below Town Hall 11 and realistically below Town Hall 15, right? Like, if you're below Town Hall 15, I don't even know how you're supposed to compete. Like, I think CWL is actually the only thing that makes any difference in terms of like your day-to-day experience in Clash of Clans. Like, it's where you get your hammers, it's where you get your medals, and it's like, this is the ultimate proof of, how fast you get into a champ's roster. That's the thing that says strategic rushing is the way to play. Because if you look at somebody that's maxing every town hall, they're never going to be in a champs roster on that account, because unless you go back in time and start your account earlier, you'll never catch up. Like, never. That's what
No. I understand that, but what my point is that if you have a bunch of lower town halls, like people, they really haven't got a chance against getting any medals or anything like that.
Yeah, but like that's my point, right? Go faster, rush more.
Like, well, what about people who are perma 8?
Well, then you shouldn't really be doing CWL, or you should be intentionally demoting until you're in bronze 3, so that maybe you have a shot. Like, there's someone there's somebody on Reddit that every month posts the aggregate information for all leagues of CWL in 15v15 and 30v30, and they break down exactly how many town halls of each level are in each league, and whether the clan demoted, maintained, or promoted. And you can watch this. Yeah, well, the username is Robotic Chicken, so you can look up their posts. They do it every month.
It's a great name, by the way. Love that.
I remember when he originally started doing it, there's like a bot that he made that scraps the data and like puts it in a spreadsheet, and he also posts the raw data, so you can also like double check his work if you're into that kind of thing. But this is one of the things that I used to convince the OG leadership of Sons of Guns and Loot and Grind that I was right about strategic rushing, because I kept saying, like, unless you want to only recruit max players, and max players have basically the pick of every clan, right? Every clan would always take a max player unless that person is a jerk, right? Like if your account is maxed, you can kind of go anywhere as long as like you fit the vibe and like the time zone. Everybody's gonna be happy to have you. So those are the hardest people to recruit. So if you can't get those because, you know, Sons of Guns and Loot and Grind, we were not in Champs 1. We were not, like, Loot and Grind wasn't even a level 10 clan at the time. And I was like, if we want to build this community and we want to maintain our clan and not splinter off and join all these other ones that are already at these high leagues, if we want to do it in-house, rushing is the only way. Because every month we will have better accounts, we'll have better offense, we'll have better defense, and those things allow you to promote through the leagues. And all of a sudden, before you know it, you know, you were struggling in Silver 1 3 months ago, but if you listen to me, in 3 months you'll be at Gold 1, and in another 3 months you'll be at Crystal 1, and then another 3 months you'll be at Master 1, because you'll all be Town Hall 17. And like, that's the name of the game. It's, you know, like if you're a perma Town Hall 8, like, why are you even doing CWL? you know what I mean? Like, you're intentionally playing the game, quote unquote, wrong for some sort of enjoyment. But like, that's what regular war is for, right? Like, you don't need the CWL medals. You're not advancing. You're not upgrading. You're playing for fun.
I have been told, folks.
But yeah, so my answer is I really don't think they need to change CWL. I think it's one of those things that's promoting playing the game with a bit of intention and long-term planning in the back of your mind, right? Where if you're trying to max, like, that's fine, but you're playing the game such that you're never going to get to the cutting edge, and therefore I don't think you should be earning the amount of medals that people who are playing the game to the cutting edge, right? There's nothing stopping you. Like, if you're in Silver 1 and you're facing a majority 13s, 14s, and 15s, well, there's nothing stopping you from also being a 13, 14, or 15. Right? Just upgrade faster. Like, upgrade your offense, upgrade your Town Hall, rinse and repeat. That's it.
All right. Fair enough. I will not raise that topic again. Let's see. We're in the middle of Summer Jam Boot Camp.
The source of so many pings on the Discord server for poor old T.
Oh, poor T.
Oh man. I actually had to pin an answer to the question, how do I optimize this event, to the channel, because everybody's trying to optimize it, and it's one of those events that is frustrating in that, yes, you should try to take advantage of it, but if you're not already at Town Hall 17, the amount that you can take advantage of it is fairly limited and is not your primary concern. Now, D-Limbs did some math. D-Limbs being one of the resident Rush followers and you know, Rush proselytizers. And I think, technically, if you use the Goblin Builder and you use all of your CWL medals on Builder Potions during the Dark Elixir event, and you put all 5 of your heroes down, you are getting almost as much value in builder hours per medal as a 15 or 16 day hammer upgrade. And so the benefit is that you would be converting your CWL medals into hero progress at the highest efficiency rate that we've pretty much ever seen, other than, you know, the 50% discount hammer jam. But I don't really know that many people that can keep their heroes down, all 5 of them, for like 2 weeks and not burn out. So I don't know. I don't think a 25% discount is worth like completely emptying your account of gems and CWL medals and probably also causing you to burn out and quit. So I think my advice for everybody, because of the limitation of this event where it's gold only and then elixir only and then dark elixir only, is, you know, okay, for the gold portion, just try to make sure that you get as many Town Hall and Giga Weapon upgrades done in the period that you can. Obviously, if you have any expensive gold defenses that need to be dropped, do them there. For the elixir portion, maybe you consider putting your Grand Warden down for the 2 weeks and getting 1 extra, maybe 2 extra levels down. And the Dark Elixir section, maybe instead of doing like Archer Queen Grand Warden, you do Archer Queen Minion Prince or Royal Champion or something like that. But I don't know. Because they split it by resource, I don't think this is the type of event that you can really hyper optimize without sacrificing something somewhere, right? Like so many people were saying, like start a long upgrade at the end so that you benefit from the discount longer. And it's like, well, yeah, but then you can't benefit from the other discount as much. So
yeah, I mean, it's a nice little summer thing, but it's not going to really push anybody majorly closer to finishing stuff on their base.
I think because of the order of upgrades, I don't think it's worth really doing more than, just taking advantage as best you can. Like if you're already in Town Hall 17, then the advice becomes for the DE week, put as many Dark Elixir heroes down as you possibly can and consider spending a reasonable sum of CWL medals on builder potions, like something like maybe 600 medals or so on it so that you can eke out a couple more levels, because it's not going to negatively affect your time to Town Hall 17, right? Like if you're a Town Hall 13, there's no chance of you getting to 17 during this event, so you shouldn't stress too much about it. But if you're, like a new or mid rushed Town Hall 17, like, yes, take advantage of the DE period as much as you can, and you can spend a reasonable amount of CWL medals. I just don't think it's one of the things where you're like, I'm going to spend 2,000 CWL medals and then quit the game because I've farmed 20 million Dark Elixir in 11 days and I want to kill everybody. So that's just my warning of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, we've got a few questions from the audience. Let's see. Shiwa asks, and hopefully I pronounced their name right, wants to know what our current goals for CFF and our personal Clash goals are. You want to take that one first?
Sure. I think my personal Clash goals right now, number 1, don't burn out. That's my primary concern is I don't want to get bored or burnt on the game such that I quit. I'm enjoying the amount that I'm playing right now, and I'm enjoying, the community that we've built in Sons of Guns. Enjoying the community that we've built in the CFF server, and I'm just kind of chilling, right? I feel good, I feel happy, and that's like a nice place to be. I think a long-term goal that I have is I do really want to start another account and film or record its progress to Town Hall 17 and like put that on YouTube as a, proof of rushing or whatever, or like a how-to of rushing, something along those lines. I'm just worried that it would make me burn out, and that's why I haven't done it. So like that's like the wish list goal of like if work ever calms down enough that I feel like I could add stuff to my plate, that's probably where I would go. As for the CFF, I think I would really like to participate more in the events that the CFF server has. Like Sons of Guns does the 2v2, you guys just did the 69 war. Like there are a bunch of events in CFF server that I would like to participate in more. It's just, again, it's one of those things where because of who I am, I don't get to just like participate events and like sneak through and like not have people pay attention to me, like I'm known, unfortunately, so I'm like in like the public view. So it's one of those things where it's like I don't necessarily always want to like put myself in that situation. So I think that's one of my goals is to just get over it and just say, you know what, I'm just gonna be in it, and if people make fun of me for having a terrible attack, that's just how it's gonna happen. So I would like to participate more in the events, and I would also like to like host more. I'd love to do like maybe like another 2v2 in the fall. Maybe if nobody else in Sons of Guns wants to do it, maybe I'll organize it. I like the events that CFF does, and I'd like to participate more, and I'd like to host more and like have more of those things happen. I just think they're fun, and it's like especially like the 2v2 that Sons of Guns is doing, where we have so many people that aren't like originating from the CFF server participating. So like that's the kind of stuff that I love, is like getting that like bigger, wider cross server participation, so you can like talk to other people that are outside your little Discord server. Like I just, that's the kind of stuff that really drives me to enjoy the game and want to play it more. What about you? What do you got?
Just on a personal level, just want to keep building RedThorn and the Rated and Shiny Gemeralds. All three clans are doing really well, and just keep going with the fun aspect of the game, not being too serious. Because I think when you get too serious about stuff, then that's when people start to burn out, because everything they feel that pressure, right? So
when it starts feeling like work and you're an adult who's already working, that's when it's just like, nah, I'm good.
Exactly. The game is our fun place. You come here after crazy day of work and you want to sit down and do your legend hits and your war attacks and socialize a little bit. So I just want, I keep reminding everybody that it's a game, and yes, we're serious about, to a certain extent, about wanting to win. We're all fairly competitive people, but we also want to keep it fun. So just keeping everybody grounded on that. As far as the CFF, just like you say, I'm usually there helping Fox out, with running things there, and I'd like to just see it keep going the way it is. It's growing, and a lot of new people coming into the server, whether they're strategic rushers or visitors coming in for the events. It's really fun to watch that, and knowing where we were 6 or 7 years ago and how the CFF has grown since then. It's pretty amazing to watch. So just keeping everything copacetic and on the right track. Nice. Mr. TD wants to know if we've done any types of martial arts, and if not, would we be willing to try something out? How about you? Have you?
Yeah. So I did Taekwondo as a kid. Like so this is funny, but I used to be the math kid. So you can imagine how that made me very popular and not at all the target of many bullies. And so it was funny. My parents like put me in Taekwondo because they thought it would be like another avenue to have friends who didn't necessarily know that I was a math nerd, but I'm a nerd in all contexts. I'm not like able to hide who I am. I'm always like genuinely, the person, right? Like I don't pretend to like math. I don't pretend to like spreadsheets. I like those things. So I like always talk about it, but I did Taekwondo as a kid. I have the hip mobility of like a 90-year-old. So I'm not the best at martial arts that require a lot of kicking. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in college and in my early 20s. And I really liked BJJ. It's like, it's almost like puzzle solving about like not getting choked or limbs broken. So it's like, it's entertaining for sure. My biggest problem that I had with BJJ was that you get a lot of wrestlers that do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're doing it as like a completely different thing where they're like really trying to win. And you're like, buddy, I'm just here to like spar and learn technique, and like I'm not trying to get injured. And so I stopped doing BJJ when I rolled with a wrestler who ignored a tap and then like pushed me in a position where like my knee was just super compressed, and it wasn't even like not even like a knee bar. And I was like, bro, like why? And he was like, I didn't even have an answer for me. And I was like, I don't even remember what is it called. I can't remember who. Like there's a name for the guy that runs the rolling sessions. I can't remember at this point in time, but whatever. I like went to him and he was like, oh yeah, that happens sometimes. I was like, cool, I'm done. And then I've I've also done some boxing in my 20s, just because like boxing to me, because I'm so bad at kicking, boxing is more fun because I feel like I can actually engage with like, you know, the head movement and the foot placement and combos and like all that stuff is just fun. Again, people take it too seriously, and maybe that's just like a New York thing, or maybe it's just like the specific gyms that I was training in, where it's like I have no intention of doing this professionally, and I have no sort of pride of like, oh, I gotta win these like sparring matches against Bob. Like I don't care. I'm doing it because it moves my body in a way that I find enjoyable, but I don't ever really want to get hurt doing these things. I don't want to get injured. Like, I'm not saying I don't want to get punched in the face. Like, getting punched in the face is fine when you're wearing, you know, headgear and the other person's wearing gloves. Like, I'm fine with that part. But it's like I don't want to get like shoved into a fence or like uppercutted when I'm like not really going for like that kind of experience. So I had to quit martial arts in general because other people take it so seriously, and I'm like, man, it's like the same thing, the same problem I had with high school football. I was like, we're playing high school football. I don't want to get injured. I got injured 3 times playing high school football, and they were like serious injuries. And the third time, the coach made fun of me for it, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm
Oh
out.
my God.
So like I just that like toxic masculinity, like
Yeah.
everybody's got their heckles up and there's so much testosterone in the room, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to engage in this. Like I just want, like, boxing's fun, but I'm not trying to like beat you up. You know what I mean? Like we're having like a boxing match, not like a life or death fight where the winner is like the king of the world. It's like, no, bro, we're fighting in a gym in Mamaroneck, New York. Like, no, this is not that serious. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. What about you? Have you ever done any martial arts?
No, not personally. My son took Taekwondo and he really enjoyed it. He loved all the different patterns,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. And so I would watch and I'd absorb and I'd practice at home. So
That's fun.
so yeah, no, if I was gonna take something, I'd definitely take some Taekwondo.
Yeah, Taekwondo was a blast. I wish
Yeah.
I had the discipline to stretch better, such that
Mhm.
I could kick. Because Taekwondo is like so much about kicking, and I swear
Yeah.
I can't get my leg. I can't do a side kick that's like at somebody's knee level. Like that's how bad my hip mobility is. So it's like embarrassing to do Taekwondo. So I don't know. I wish I could do boxing again. Like boxing is so much fun. Like I really like the workout portion of boxing. I love hitting the speed bags. I love, when you have, it's like the prototypical scene that you see in movies where you have somebody that's like holding up mitts and they're calling out combos and you're hitting the pads, right? Like that's a blast. I love that. Like that's really, really fun. But then when you get like in an actual ring and somebody is like taking it way more seriously than you, you're like,
Mhm.
I'm out. I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. That's crazy.
Nope.
Yeah, I've had
All
enough
right.
concussions from hockey and from snowboarding that like I don't need another source of concussions in my life. My
Yeah.
brain is rattled enough.
We need you to stay safe. All right. Another question. Are there any other games you like to play, or is it mostly just Clash of Clans?
I've played um like an infinity amount of other games, and I tend to go like periods of time where I'll be playing very consistently in various games. So Clash I've been playing for 6 years, and that's one of the reasons why I've backed off so much of, like, I don't play any of my alts and I don't do esports, is because I'm afraid that if I do too much, I will just quit. Because I like know how I work.
Mhm.
I played Lost Ark for like 2.5 or 3 years, like when it released in North America, until the Thamine slash Echidna patch or whatever. And then it was the same sort of thing. Like the game got too predatory and monetized, so I bailed. I've played Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, also Diablo 1 and 2. Um, I play D&D. I play lots of board games. Like I'm a game player. I really enjoy games of various types, and I played Brawl Stars before I played Clash of Clans. I've kind of, if I could find people on the CFF server that are playing Brawl Stars still, I could be tempted into playing it again. Although, like at this point, my account is so far behind the progression that I don't even know if it's like viable. I haven't even played it in 5 years, but yeah, I play a ton of games. Like if you probably other than like the really popular shooters, I kind of stopped playing shooters. I don't know. I don't really remember when or why. It was mostly like my friends moved off playing shooters, and I only really enjoy playing shooters with people I know. So other than that, like if it's a mainstream big game, I've probably played it at least a little. What about you? Are you a Clash only, or you have a couple other favorites that you're playing?
Well, Clash of Clans is pretty much the only game I've stuck with. I've stuck with Clash Royale, not because I like it, because I actually hate it with a passion, but so I really should quit. But yeah, that's a whole nother podcast about what I don't like about Clash Royale. But I've played it for so long, and I'm too stubborn to quit.
Fair.
Squad Busters, I'm still playing it. Not terribly thrilled with the changes that Supercell has made to it.
What is with Supercell and these other games, man? They just can't get their act together.
Exactly. And I did hear, and I have seen on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, a lot of the Brawl Stars players are not happy with some of the changes that they've made there. So I'm not really sure what they're doing, but they better like pay attention to the player bases in all of their games. Let's see. It's time to do a top 5 summer movies or books. What is your top 5? Let's start with your number 5.
Okay, so for summer entertainment, my summers are crazy, which we've discussed off the air. But for anyone that doesn't know, my summers are my busy season. So from Memorial Day to Labor Day, I'm basically a zombie when I get home. So I want stuff that's like easy to enjoy while turning my brain off. And so my number 5 is Independence Day, which was like a movie from my childhood that's like, I don't necessarily want to say that it holds up because I don't necessarily agree that it holds up, but it's like a nostalgia watch for me where it's just got action and it's got, the feel good, and it's got Will Smith before we kind of knew too much about Will Smith, and I don't know. It's
Will Smith
one of
when
those,
he was good.
Yeah, like the patriotism before like patriotism kind of got tinted with other things and stuff. So I don't know. Independence Day is just one of those things where I could watch this movie probably 100 times in a row and not get tired of it. So that's my number 5.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your number 5?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at movies that you can sit down in the summer and enjoy, and it doesn't take too much brain cells. Dirty Dancing is my number 5. It's always a fun watch. Who doesn't like to watch Patrick Swayze dancing? So
yeah, I Patrick Swayze is one of those guys where you're just like, if you can't admit that Patrick Swayze is a handsome man, you don't have working eyes, I think.
That's right.
I don't know. That's a funny one. That's one of those. I don't think I actually saw Dirty Dancing. Like even though I was, I wasn't really of the right age to watch it when it came out. That's for sure. But it was still pretty popular in like my teens. But I don't actually think I saw it until I was like almost 30.
Yeah,
but
it's a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure.
Yeah. What's your number 4?
My number 4, I watched probably 1,000,000 times in college with some of my friends, and I can quote, I think the entire thing start to finish is Dodgeball. And there's just so many lines in this movie that are so dumb, but for some reason it just brings joy to my heart. And like there's I can't remember the guy's name, but he's from Accepted and the restaurant movie with Ryan Reynolds. Oh, I can't. Justin Long, I think his name is, and he's
Okay.
just so good at physical comedy. And Dodgeball gives it to him. They give him so many scenes where he just like. There's a scene where they're like. It's funny watching the behind the scenes of this movie because they say there's a scene where they're like doing the training montage to like get these people better at playing dodgeball. So they have a baseball thrower that's throwing dodgeballs at these people. And for Justin Long, they just filmed for like 2 hours of him getting absolutely hammered by these balls. And he just keeps going. And just like there's like a skill involved in knowing you're going to get hit by something, but acting as if you're not. And he's the perfect one. And you get that plus like Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller at like peak comedy. I don't know. Dodgeball is like all time for me. It always makes me laugh no matter how I'm feeling. So that's like my pleasure watch.
Okay, my number 4 is Stand By Me, which is a great, I don't know, it's definitely not a comedy. It's a coming of age movie based on a Stephen King story.
That's the one with Macaulay Culkin, right?
No, it's got, what's his name? Corey Feldman?
Wait. Okay, yeah. Yeah. This is like
a bunch of those, like I think they were 80s or 90s.
Oh, it has Will Wheaton in it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, yep. Yeah. All right, yeah. Kiefer Sutherland out of nowhere.
Yeah, just it really, it's such a good movie.
Is that, wait, spoilers. I don't want to spoil a movie from 1986. Is that the one where one of them dies at the end?
Yeah, it's the story from Stephen King is called The Body.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very dark, very well acted. It's just a really good watch.
And that's your summer movie? I think we have very different requirements for summer entertainment.
I have a dark soul. What can I say? What's your number 3?
Okay, my number 3 is another nostalgia watch. It's Fifth Element, which has Bruce Willis and oh god, I can't remember her name, but the woman who does all the Resident Evils. Mila Jovovich.
Yes, Jovovich. I can't see her last name.
This one, I don't know, man. I am a sucker for sci-fi in general, but I truly believe that Fifth Element is like one of the best sci-fi mainstream movies that we've kind of ever gotten in America. Like I'm sure there's others in other languages that are better, but to me, for sci-fi, I think it's like Alien, Fifth Element, and like maybe Dune. Like I know Star Wars, like whatever, but Star Wars to me isn't sci-fi. Star Wars is fantasy and space, which like I also love. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I don't want Darth Yoda coming to my house and committing crimes here. I love Star Wars, but it's not sci-fi. Like sci-fi scratches a different type of itch for me than Star Wars does. And Fifth Element is like, you got action, you got comedy, you got like mystery, drama. Like it's just such a good overall film. And there's just, I don't know, there's a line in it that Bruce Willis says where somebody's like trying to find out like if he's in a building, and they ask him like, sir, are you classified as human? And he says, no, I am a meat popsicle. And that line is just embedded in my skull, and it's just my favorite thing that any actor has ever said in any movie. Like, I am a meat popsicle is like so much world building and humor and comedy built into this one little sentence. It's like my favorite thing on the planet. It's so funny.
Yeah, it was a great movie.
All right, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is National Lampoon's Vacation.
Ooh, which one is that? Is that the one? I can't remember which one that is. That's is that the one where like no, that's the Christmas one. I think the Christmas one's the one that always sticks in my head.
Yeah, not the Christmas one. They are going on a summer vacation, a trip, Chevy Chase. I can't remember.
I mean, I think it's another one of those where you've built the memories up before you knew that Chevy Chase was kind of a dick.
Yeah, they go on a road trip from Chicago to California to Wally World. That's what it was. So yeah, so they want to bond, and of course they have all kinds of dumb adventures along the way. So can't go wrong, right? Like, what could possibly go wrong on a road trip?
Yeah, especially with Chevy Chase involved. Obviously, nothing.
Exactly.
Oh,
What's
I
your
know.
number
I
two?
remember which one that one is. That's the one. It's like whenever it's on TV, there's like a section in the middle that's like censored for reasons, because older movies had those kinds of things in them. Okay,
All right.
my number
Give me your
two.
number two.
I think I'm gonna change what my original answer was. My number two, I think, is gonna be the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. It's three books. They're fantasy, but they're like, the premise of the story is essentially 1,000 years ago, the hero fought the big bad guy, but the big bad guy won. And now we're 1,000 years later of this big bad guy who's immortal and has been running this empire, and everything sucks. And that's the start of the story. And I don't know, I just when I was younger, one of my favorite series was Wheel of Time. And I think that it was probably my first like grown-up series, because I read Roald Dahl and like all the normal, like Charlotte's Web and Giving Tree, like all of the normal stuff that you give children to read when they're little. And then like in like third grade, I got access to the Wheel of Time, and I was like, this is everything. And so I started reading that, and the author of Wheel of Time got very sick, and so he was not able to finish the series. And they tapped okay, so his wife is his editor, and he had access to all of Robert Jordan's notes and his world building and how he wanted to end it. So it wasn't just like pulled out of nowhere, but they tapped this guy named Brandon Sanderson to finish the series. And when that happened, I was like, oh no, like nobody can write like Robert Jordan. But I was like, okay, I'm going to give this guy a shot. And at the time, he had only published, I think, 3 books, which is just such a leap of faith by the Jordan estate to tap this guy. But he had Elantris, which is okay. I almost never recommend anybody read it unless you're already a fan of Sanderson. But Mistborn was the trilogy that he had written the first 2 books, and then the third book came out before he started writing the Wheel of Time stuff. And so that's how I discovered him. And I was immediately hooked. I've read everything that this man has ever written except like a couple of his YA series. And he's just got this like way of writing that's, I just can't put the books down. Like he's not the best wordsmith. Like he doesn't have the best prose, but his world building, his magic systems, his plots, his twists, all of these things, he's like the perfect example of someone who will give you a twist like 90% of the way through a book, and you're like, you son of a, like, because you should have been able to see it the whole time, but you had no idea that it was coming, and you're like, oh, you got me again, Brandon. And so that's, I don't know, it's like my comfort read, that every time I need something where I'm like stuck and I can't find a book I want to read, I just blitz through that series real quick.
Yeah, I've read a few of his books, and I really need to dive back in. I'm wading through Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
carefully,
I mean, Wheel of Time is great though. It's
but you can't rush through it. It's like you got to sit there and you got to read it and you got to absorb it. And
yeah, if it wasn't 14 books, I would have put Wheel of Time here. But 14 books is a little much for a light summer read.
Yeah. And I will put a side note here. I'm extremely disappointed that they've canceled the series on.
Yeah, that what are you gonna do? None of these people are willing to put the kind of time, effort, and money into really adapting a series like Wheel of Time properly. So yeah, I'm glad we got what we got. But what about
exactly? Okay.
What about your number 2? What do we got?
My number 2 is Lord of the Rings in book form or movie form. I will read it. I've read the entire series like at least 20 times.
Oh wow!
And I fell in love with it when I was a child, and I've read it and worn out my copies. And the movies, I love them. they stand the test of time. So
Yeah, this is a series that I would like. I would like it if I liked it more. I think part of the problem for me was I I don't know. I got to watch the movies again. I only watched them one time in theaters, and I think the time of my life where I watched them, I wasn't open to the idea of movies being a different adaptation than the books. Like I really
Mhm.
wanted them to be just the book in visual form. And
Right.
since then, I've come to understand and appreciate the idea that, books and movies are different mediums. You have to tell stories differently. And so I think if I gave the movies another shot and had more of the open mind that I have now, as opposed to like when I was a young adult, I think I would enjoy them more.
Yeah.
I think it was like I was always like they're well shot movies wrong. It was like what my young self thought, right? That like I could appreciate the beauty and the cinematography, but I was just like salty that like they changed stuff, like, and I
Yeah.
wasn't able to enjoy them for what they were.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, ignore the Hobbit movies. Completely ignore the Hobbit movies. They're okay, but they can't hold a candle to LOTR.
Yeah, that's
What's
fair.
your number one?
Another comfort watch from my childhood, Office Space, because it's like I've held a lot of customer service and food service jobs through my teens and 20s, and like even now I'm technically like management of like what I'm doing now, but I still end up having to deal with customers all the time, and there's just this like innate sense in Office Space of acknowledging how garbage that is. Like how
Mhm.
much it's not fun to be there. And Office Space just manages, like, yeah, it's old, yeah, like a lot of the jokes are dated and whatever, but it somehow manages to hold up in a way that is just like a perfect movie. And it's like short and it's funny, and I will just never get over the fact that like the central premise of the movie is that this guy goes to a hypnotist to like relax, and the hypnotist dies before he could take him out of the relaxation,
Oh my
and
god.
that's the joke. That's why he's now able to like relax at work and be like who he is. Like, it's so good. If you haven't watched it, you gotta watch it. It's a classic. It's so funny.
That sounds like a fun one.
Hmm.
My number one is Jaws because it's a summer movie and it terrifies me every time I watch it.
Yeah, you know what? So when I was a kid, my parents took like as a family vacation. I was like very little. I don't remember specifically, but like 4 or 5. And like I'm not someone who has distinct memories of their childhood necessarily. Like a lot of my
Mhm.
childhood, I just don't remember. This one I do. My parents took me on a ride at like Disney World Land, whichever one's in Florida. And it was like Epcot. There's like this, they like put you on a train, and the train like goes around, and then there's a spot where like King Kong knocks the train off the tracks, and then like you're hanging over water, and then like Jaws comes up and like attacks you. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that for like the first 10 years of my life, my parents had to cover my eyes and lie to me whenever we were going over a bridge because of that event. So yeah, Jaws is a horrifying movie that I've never watched because of that experience.
Understandably traumatized, holy smokes.
Yeah, and like we went, it was like my family, and then my parents had like best friends, and so they took their family, so we were all on
Mhm.
this trip together, and I like ran to the other father's like lap and like hid behind him because I didn't trust my parents for like essentially lying to me about like what this ride was going to be about. Uh
That's hilarious.
yeah, poor little T was very traumatized
Oh,
about bridges and sharks for a while.
all right. Let's do some shout outs. What have you got?
Oh, I gotta shout out D-Limbs. He has written a step-by-step guide that I've been pointing people to so that I don't have to answer questions. I also want to shout out Baders, who has joined the Sons of Guns leadership team, and he's also another person who regularly answers questions that people have about rushing when I'm either not around or asleep or just not feeling like answering stuff. So the two of them are very helpful additions to the Rush channel. I want to shout out all the new people that have been joining CFF. I know a lot of them come from either like the events that we're hosting or, my guide or however you're getting here. I appreciate that people are coming and listening to the podcast and participating and chatting and talking. I feel like the CFF server has been extremely lively lately, and I just appreciate it. I feel like it's fun to talk about Clash, as we always discuss at the top of the episodes. So just shout out to all the new people who are joining us. And lastly, I wanted to shout out T Sims, who is running the Sons of Guns 2v2. I'm sure he's going to need assistance. So if you've got any experience and you're listening to this and you've run tournaments before, hit me up, and maybe if scheduling works out or if T Sims really needs help, like I'm sure we're gonna need assistance running this thing because it's gotten huge. So shout out to T Sim for right now doing it all solo, but hopefully we can get him some help.
Help is on the way.
What about you? What do you got?
Let's see. I want to shout out Leo from RedThorn. He's going to be retiring from the game, quitting the game basically. He's got just a new baby and a lot of other stuff going on in real life, so he's just stepping away from the game. Hopefully he comes back eventually.
Makes sense.
So big shout out to him. And I'm just going to shout out a bunch of my nightly voice chat friends: C-Note, BG, Ace, King Redbeard, Stormrider, everybody who stops in on the RedThorn server to hang out on voice. It's always a fun time. So
nice.
And that's it from us. The CFF is a family of clans who love to play various games such as Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and others. You can send questions or comments to us on Twitter at RedThornCOC. To get more information on our clans, events, and podcasts, join the CFF Discord at discord.gg/clashfiles.
Dear Clash Gods, I confess my emotions have been a mess, 'cause you changed everything we ever knew, from witches to poison and the Queen Walk too. Whoa, I've been wrong, I was wrong, been down hard.